liberal democracies are sending a message to left-wing parties, liberal parties. We don't like how you're doing the economy when it comes to inflation. We don't like how you're doing immigration.
There are a lot of feelings involved. I mean, if you look at the actual numbers, inflation in Canada was lower, came down quicker. Our economy bounced back faster after the pandemic than anyone else's, including the United States. We're projected to grow faster than the United States and all other G7 countries next year. Our economy is doing very well. But when someone's paying $8 for a head of lettuce, it doesn't matter that you're doing better than they are in Spain or somewhere else. There's a sense that, okay, something's got to give. And that's where incumbents are in trouble everywhere everywhere around the world, not just in our two countries. The issue, though, is that in a time of crisis, responsible politics is around focusing on things that actually make a real difference in people's lives. We delivered $10 a day childcare. We're delivering a dental care program that provides free dental care to people who don't have coverage. We're moving forward on putting a price on pollution that puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians, of middle-class Canadians. These are policies that are not short-term. They're policies that will have a deep impact in the well-being of Canadians and of our country for years to come. Now, you can take those policies, like a childcare policy, and say, oh, see, that's just about wokeness and about women's rights. Well, no, it's about getting more women into the workforce at a time where we need economic growth. That's what it is. But when you get I was going to say conflagration, but at least an intersection of both right-wing policy, right-wing attacks and social media, you end up with a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and responsible governments have to stay focused on the policies that are making a difference, and that's what we've been doing.
I know you have
with President Trump.
Prime Minister Trudeau, thank you so much, and au revoir.
So as you saw in the recent interview, Justin Trudeau labeled the claims put against him as misinformation. So let's analyze. Is it actually misinformation? Let's start backwards. The carbon tax, putting more money back in the pockets of Canadians, I would consider this a lie. According to the Canadian Taxpayer Federation, with the increase that is set to come in April, the tax will cost 21 cents per liter of gasoline, 25 cents per liter of diesel, and 18 cents per cubic meter of natural gas. Now, if you're considering not fueling your car, not heating your home, then maybe you'll get some money back into your pocket. Or if you happen to be a commercial trucker, maybe considering a new career working on windmills or solar panels, then you might save money there. But in that reality, you might as well consider going homeless as well. But this is the reality I just told you. This is the reality that Justin Trudeau lives in, and that what he wants you to live in as well. To expand further, the tax will cost you $15 more to fill up your minivan from 0 to 100%, $27 more to fill up your pickup truck, and 18 cents more per cubic meter of natural gas you use. The Canadian Trucking Alliance suggests that the tax will cost the industry $2 billion or even more. The PBO, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, reports it will cost farmers $1 billion over the next 5 years, and that the tax will cost more than what Canadians will get back in rebates. So, is Trudeau's carbon tax pipe dream really about the environment, or is it about punishing groups of Canadians who he knows will never support him, like farmers and truckers, who we know he really doesn't like? In my opinion, this is just a big money grab to get more money into the government's pocket so that they can spend it in ways that don't benefit the Canadian public, but get us into further deficits and further trouble and mess. Now let's move on to the claim that inflation is under control. While Trudeau has claimed inflation as being controlled, it is in no part at all due to his policies or his efforts. In reality, It's the Bank of Canada's policies that have been controlling inflation, which is balancing of the interest rates and whatnot. One can easily say that in reality, Justin Trudeau's policies have actually caused more harm in fighting inflation. We could see this simply by looking at his constant deficit and spending, with his last economic statement showing a projected deficit of $60 billion. So, in all things considered, he has not helped at all in the inflation battle. Basically, how it works is that the government causes inflation with spending and whatnot, and the Bank of Canada comes in to clean up the government's mess. If we look back, we have had a culminative inflation of, right here, 18% from January 2020 to June 2024. And that can be solely attributed to the Trudeau's handling of spending. We still feel these effects based on just the cost of food, so while inflation might be coming down, the effects will be ever present for the years to come. Now, the next thing is the Canadian economy bouncing back after the pandemic. Now, let me ask, do you feel like the economy has bounced back? Do you feel that you're in a better position than you were before the pandemic or even in the pandemic? I bet many of you would say no. And I have to agree with you because this claim of the economy bouncing back after pandemic is fanciful. So, if we look at this article here by True North, we can see that Canada's economic recovery post-pandemic was the fifth weakest of 38 OECD countries. The article points out that Canada's real GDP grew by just 1%, while the population of our country grew by 3%, which led to an per capita decrease of about 2%. So this claim is just fraud, and this article is from the start of 2024. And with all the things we're finding out about Canada's real immigration numbers, I highly suspect that our economic growth is likely much, much lower than what we see and what we are being told. Now, another thing he said here is that Canada is somehow growing faster than the United States. And where he gets this data and where he claims this is supported is from this article by the IMF and the World Bank that suggests that we as a country are bound to grow in the next 5 years more than the United States. But if you look closely, that article is highly, highly dependent on global economic conditions, and the study is very speculative. And it's just Trudeau misrepresenting data and cherry picking stats where maybe something looks favorable to him. In reality, if we look at other articles like this article from the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, this is from June 4th, 2024, a reliable, trusted source, and just skimming over it, you can see that the main gist of the article is that we're stuck and we're in a neutral state and we have a growth problem. And I can say that is true because if we look even further into the case, a lot of Canada's economic growth has come from immigration, and not the good type of immigration where you have skilled labor coming in and skilled workers. No, we have a mass amount of immigration coming in where we have this fake economic growth built up by just the sheer number of people coming in taking low skill, low paying jobs, which is just fake economic growth at that point. Now, moving on, Trudeau said that Canada's dental plan was something remarkable and amazing. Now, let's look at the actual tenets of what makes you qualify for this plan and the barriers of entry. And from just looking at it at a base level, we could see that there are quite a few barriers of entry to get into this program. For one thing, your net income as a household has to be at least to be lower than $70,000 a year for you to be covered 100%. And if you're for between 70,000 to 90,000, you'll get partial coverage. And also on top of that, if you already have coverage from your employer or whatnot, then you're not eligible for coverage. So while this program does cover some people, a small subset of the population, it's going to cost Canada billions of dollars. The PBO finds that over the next 5 years, the program will cost $10 billion after all factors are put into consideration. Before the cost reductions, it will cost $17 billion. What the true reality is behind this project is that these costs are quite steep, and time will only tell if it is financially viable over the long term. So, and with a conservative government coming in, cuts are coming. That things are not going to be, programs are not going to be as invested in because Trudeau's government has left such a mess in terms of debt and program spending that cuts are inevitable no matter who comes in. So let me ask the viewer and Justin Trudeau, how can our economy be doing well when we're paying $8 for a head of lettuce? Any layman out there is going to see that and say, well, my cost of living is going up and my wages are stagnant. My taxes are going up and have been going up, and I'm going to be paying another tax for gas and heating because of the carbon tax. Rent is out of control, housing prices are unaffordable, mortgages are exponential, and the government is wasting my money by the very apparent deficit we are going through. Then how can you apparently say that we're doing well? It's an absolute delusion, and it's just more evidence of how Justin Trudeau thinks like and what kind of leader he is, which is one that is preoccupied with his own view of the economy and his own view of his legacy. And you wonder then why people want Canada to become a 51st state. Because many see that we might just be better off with the United States. Though I don't agree with it, many people see that our economy, the state of this country, is in such disarray that why don't we just become a 51st state and pay less taxes, have a strong military, have the support of the United States, and whatnot. Think about that, and let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this and these claims that Justin Trudeau says are misinformed. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.